All right, Bello. So we're probably done pissing off a lot of people discussing politics.
Yeah,
Um,
we
now
should
it's
have
time.
probably started with the Marvel stuff.
You know what? Now that you say that, I may edit it and flip flop this conversation.
That's fine. I'll try not to say anything to allude to one or the other, so that we don't have any editing continuity issues.
I don't think people really pay attention. Um, they're just there for the conversation. But Captain Marvel came out this weekend. Long anticipated movie. I think they didn't really have to market it this much. I think the biggest and the best marketing they did was put that symbol at the end of Infinity War.
Yeah.
That was just my personal opinion because I don't think the marketing captured this movie a lot. Like I went into this honestly thinking this would be my least favorite Marvel movie, and I came out of it. Not it's not one of my favorites. It's a very good Marvel movie, but it's a lot more fun than what the trailers made me think. What was your just short opinion on it before we get into the details?
No, I'm sort of with you. I mean, I kind of my predispositions to the movie, obviously, and considering some of the things that Brie Larson came out and said. Now, a lot of it was taken out of context. Having said that, could have been worded a little bit better. Just saying, Miss Larson. And yeah, then they watched the actual commercials themselves, and it seemed like this was just going to be a love letter to feminism. And it's not my particular favorite topic in the world, so I was kind of down on the whole idea of the movie going into it. Much like yourself, I figured this was going to be something I was going to enjoy the least. And at the end of the day, the movie wasn't anything like the super pro feminist agenda movie that I expected it to be. I thought Carol was cute and funny, and I think that's really what they wanted her to be at the end of the day. And I'm interested to see how she fits into the bigger pantheon. And I thought the movie stood by itself. It might have tried to do a little too much in a very short period of time, but that's I'm getting nitpicky. Ultimately, like within the MCU, I thought it was middle of the road, which still makes it a pretty damn good movie in my opinion.
Yeah. I think this was one of the first times with the Marvel movie that I think they tried to connect it to like the Tesseract being there. It really doesn't fit when you think about what we've seen in the Marvel movies.
Yeah, I was curious as to how Dr. Larson got the Tesseract because we know Howard Stark found it back in the 40s and it's been under Shield, Project Pegasus, whatever. I can understand how maybe she had access to it, but why was she able to take it up on her Kree secret base up in the sky? Like that seemed a
Yeah.
little bit like I need a little bit more explanation as to how that came about. But I did like that. I liked that the Space Stone was involved here. I liked how Goose obviously came as became a carrying case for it at one point or another. And I'm interested to see if it plays into Endgame in the way that I think it will, because there are some theories going around out there that they are going to potentially be copying the Infinity Stones, and that they might use Carol kind of as the baseline for her signature. Because at one point, who is it? Talos says, "We noticed your energy signature matched that of the stone
Yeah.
or of the core." So they're probably going to do some sort of thing where they read Carol and they can copy the space stone, and then they try to do that with the other stones. So I thought that was all very well laid out in this movie. I'll give them the continuity credit on that one.
Yeah, and then Talos was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, thought he was
He would
good too.
like he would and the thing is, I think when you see the scrolls again, that was a misdirect, which I get that one. That's a huge plot point, but you expect the scrolls to be this like terrifying thing, and he's literally they set it up in the first scene with him. He's cracking jokes from the get go,
Yeah,
and he's a great character. I wouldn't mind seeing him come back, but it's with the movie itself. I think that they set up Carol very well. I like how they did the whole memory thing. I like almost everything they did with her as a character personally. I think that this is one of those times to where they changed the comics a lot, but I love the way they had to change it to make it fit their narrative and where they were going. I think that this would have been a completely different movie if it didn't come right before Endgame and however they plan to use her there, which we'll talk about in a minute. Overall, I really enjoyed the movie. The way that Nick Fury lost his eye, I fucking love it because the whole thing it's classified. I can't talk about it. I won't confirm or deny. He just doesn't want to tell. The cat scratched out his fucking eye. Like that's hilarious.
I'm just really hoping that we get like a scene in Endgame where him and T'Challa are like side by side, and he's like, "I got a thing against cats," like some like some little quip where he's got some issue with cats. But people had kind of theorized that that was going to be potentially how he lost his eye for a little while on Reddit and in other circles, and people were kind of looking back throughout the pantheon of all the Marvel movies to see if there's any hint about Fury being a little jumpy around cats. And strangely enough, he had never come in contact with a cat in all of the Marvel movies except for this one. So I thought that was a really cool thing as well. As you know, we all were kind of looking forward to seeing how Fury lost the eye. We figured it was coming in that movie, and damn it, Goose, damn it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think too that it's the Marvel and their technology, they're just going back in time and getting younger versions of these people. There's no way in hell that this is CGI. Him
Yeah,
and Coulson, Samuel Jackson and Coulson, no, they went back in time. They actually built a time machine and they pulled these motherfuckers back. That
right.
has to be what it is.
Yeah, I mean, short a little facial hair, it looked no different than like Pulp Fiction Samuel L. Jackson. Like, I mean, you couldn't have told the difference, honestly. It was sort of weird seeing that because it wasn't something that I was thinking about as the movie was going on. But then as soon as it ended, and I was like running home to go watch another Marvel movie to kind of keep the flow going from in my head. Uh, I was like, wow, he's really aged. Like,
Yeah,
you seeing them side by side, it's crazy.
yeah, yeah. But overall, like I said, I was it's a solid Marvel movie. I think that it sets the character up for whatever they do with her in Endgame. But let's talk about that. What you mentioned the theory. What do you think Captain Marvel's role in Avengers Endgame is going to be?
I think her role is going to be more or less kind of what I laid out there, and that she's going to show up at the Avengers facility, or like we see at the end of the post credits. That'll be a scene right out of the movie, probably very early on, if not before the opening credits. And she will show up, and they will make some sort of connection between her and the Space Stone, and that's how they'll come up with the. I mean, basically, she is a copy of the
Of the
Space
Space
Stone.
Stone, yeah.
I mean, the core itself was a copy of the Space Stone, so we know that it's possible to replicate these things at least in some form. So they'll try to do the
And
same
Red Skull
thing.
did it too. He copied the energy signal too for his weapons that he had
Yep.
in the original Captain America movie. So it's definitely possible.
Yeah. So they'll do something along those lines, and that to me makes a lot more sense because time travel, going back and grabbing them, like there's a whole butterfly effect thing that goes on there. And I was worried. I mean, to me, if they went back in time and even claimed one of the stones, it should undo the snap because he needed all six to do the snap in the first place. So like even if you were to claim one of them, it should be enough to at least reverse that much of the damage that was done. So with them having to physically copy them, we're going to see somebody wielding the gauntlet versus Thanos wielding the gauntlet. I'm really worried, that it could very well be Captain Marvel in that spot, and that to me would be kind of a shame and sort of dumping on the first 12 years of the MCU, and that hey, none of this mattered until this chick came along, and she's kind of cute and kind of funny, but she's way overpowered, and she's going to make all of those other heroes that you've known to grow and love completely useless.
I think I'm envisioning a fight scene between Thanos and Captain Marvel and Thor are kicking Thanos' ass, distracting him while Cap and Iron Man do something else. Because before Captain Marvel, I think as far as the good guys, Thor is now the most powerful
Yes.
protagonist we have after he got Stormbreaker. Um, so now adding Captain Marvel to that, I think those two can definitely throw a fight enough with Thanos to distract him while everyone else does their thing and they're maneuvering. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think that for anyone, I left Avengers Infinity War thinking, okay, Captain Marvel's going to come. She's going to be able to stand toe to toe with Thanos. I think this movie takes that away because if she's just a copy of one of the Infinity Gems, Thanos still has all of them. So she's
Right.
not going to be able to stand toe to toe with him, I don't think.
Yeah, there was actually a running theory online. Actually, there's kind of like this supposed kind of combustion going on within Marvel Studios as far as how much she's actually going to be involved. Or they actually just said this week, I think, that the final cut is done. They're just doing the editing for the 3D and the sound and all that kind of stuff. But there were up till the last minute kind of decisions being made about how much Carol would be involved in the ultimate defeat of Thanos. Some people wanted her in both Avengers movies. They wanted to try to put her in Infinity War as well.
Yeah.
And then some people didn't even want her at all until after the Endgame movie, so they kind of split the difference. They did her solo film. She's going to be in Endgame. There are some rumors to suggest that maybe early on in the movie, she tries to take on Thanos by herself, and Thanos, using the gauntlet, somehow actually knocks her down a peg or two as far as her power levels, and that kind of brings her back down to Thor, Wanda levels of power where it's reasonable and she's not completely outshining everybody else. I'd like to see her be used as somebody important to the ultimate victory, but not like necessarily like in a way that they couldn't have done it without her. Yeah, I want her to be significant, but not to the point to where it washes out the importance of Thor and Cap and Iron Man. So there's a theory and another theory going around that Hawkeye, Ronin, is in Japan trying to get chunks of Mjolnir, which apparently the Yakuza came across in Norway and are trying to use for their own weaponry, and that they actually get the old pieces of Mjolnir to make a new gauntlet here on Earth, and they don't actually need to go to Nidavellir to do it because Captain Marvel would have enough juice to melt the Uru and make the weapon ultimately. So that would be something I'd really like to see her as far as being so crucial to the process without being the one that necessarily delivers the fatal blow.
Yeah, I'm still holding on to my theory. That my cancer verse theory or a version of it. It's gonna be Cap, Thanos getting trapped somewhere together, maybe fighting for all eternity. Who the fuck knows?
Oh, there you go.
Um, yeah, I mean, just imagine that. Like somehow Cap gets imbued with some other powers, and he can go toe to toe with Thanos. I think either way, Cap's dying. Like he's either dying or getting sealed off some way. That's that. I think that has to be how it ends. So
Yeah, I'm sort of worried about Cap. I mean, I've heard a couple different theories, but the big one seems to be that like he'll sacrifice himself for the Soul Stone in some way, shape, or form. Oh man, that's gonna be. I'm gonna be a crying mess by the time he hits the ground. I mean,
yeah,
seriously, it's gonna be real rough. I actually have my own theory. I think Natasha would be the one who would sacrifice herself if they needed to sacrifice somebody for the Soul Stone because she's got all this red in her ledger that she's trying to get rid of. You know, that's been her angle since the beginning is that she's been trying to make up for all of her misdeeds. And also, I could see a scene where it's her and Banner standing on that cliff in the same way that it was her and Banner standing on that cliff in Age of Ultron. And, you know, she kisses him and pushes him off, and then the Hulk comes up. In this case, you know, she would kiss him and push off of him and fall herself, and he would get the Soul Stone. So I could see that kind of parallel, them using that kind of as you know, continuity, if you will.
I like that. I like that. But the only thing that would make me think it won't be Natasha's because she has her solo movie coming up.
Yes.
So, but
But
I
it's
mean,
a prequel,
they've
right?
jumped
It's
around.
supposed to be going way
Yeah.
back into her history, so I guess
So
we wouldn't need her around. She could always be a Skrull. We don't know.
good point. Good point. So, I mean, overall review, Captain Marvel. What are you giving it, man?
I mean, I'd give it like I don't know if we were doing like letter grades. I give it like a BB plus. It was in that neck of the woods. It was in the upper middle range of the MCU. I kind of put it akin to like Doctor Strange, Guardians 2, Black Panther in that neck of the woods, where it's not necessarily like the top shelf movies, at least in my opinion. But it's kind of in that next section down.
Yeah, I think I put it up there. Like it's in that same realm as the Thor 3 because I love Thor
Yeah,
the last
Ragnarok's.
Ragnarok. But it's not in that top tier, and I think it's like it's better than almost any of the Phase One films, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, except
And
for Iron Man, probably.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, that's the gold standard in that phase. So it's a solid movie, man. I can't hate on it completely, but you almost have to see it though, because otherwise you're just getting this random chick showing up beating somebody's ass in Endgame.
Yes. Yeah, it's
So either way,
definitely
you got to see.
necessary. Plus, because where they are in history, like they're it. I mean, I guess at this point we've given away enough spoilers, but like it's crucial to the Avengers initiative in and of itself is all
True.
based off of her. So like there is that whole aspect of it, and there's a couple of little hints here and there when she says to Dr. Lawson in that memory that they keep rewinding, and she says, "I like the view from up there." I think that might be setting up her position at Alpha Flight eventually if they wanted to set that up in the MCU with her up on the base floating above Earth, being the first line of defense kind of deal.
Yeah.
So that might be something that they want to go longer term, and those are kind of little Easter eggs or I guess little breadcrumbs for what they might have in the future.
Well, there you go. So we're gonna go into the next thing. But before we get into that, I know we're gonna get into what X-Men or Fantastic Four character we think is gonna appear first. I want to say this. I think mutants in general. So we've seen Infinity Stones create the twins with Wanda
Yep.
and Quicksilver. Now Captain Marvel. I believe even the arc reactor is was Howard Stark trying to copy the Tesseract.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to say that like when maybe Endgame ends with all the stones being destroyed and that energy spreads throughout the world, and that's how we get mutants.
Yeah, that's a high possibility. I could see that being one of the routes. I don't think this is the route they'll go, but the one of my favorite theories is that this whole time the mutants have been among us, and
Yeah,
that Professor X has been using Cerebro to block out the whole memory of mutants from the rest of society, so that we're not chasing them down in the way that we always are and persecuting them because they're different from us, and that he's just using Cerebro to keep the whole idea of mutants out of all of our heads.
I like that. I like it, but I still like if they go that route. There's no way Magneto's just been sitting back, not doing shit.
That's true as well. Yeah. What's the deal with Magneto and any number of other characters that probably would go rogue? Not to suggest rogue exactly, but yeah, I mean there's definitely other mutants that would have made a problem for all of us. But hey, who knows? Maybe Professor X is just making us forget about it as soon as it happens.
True. I mean, the way that they retcon scrolls in that Shield's known about him, who's to say that Shield doesn't have Magneto locked up somewhere?
Yeah. They, that'd be interesting to see, where some of the scrolls and all that kind of stuff pop up. But I do think that the mutants are, like you said, going to be connected to the Infinity Stones in some way.
Yeah, crazy. All right, so last topic for today. Which X-Men or Fantastic Four character appears in the MCU first and how? A great question. People, I did not come up with this one. This is one Bello did come up with. So I'm gonna have you answer it first. Who do you
All
think?
right, I've got two, but they come in the same movie. I'll kind of paint it all together here. So if I had my druthers, um, in Black Panther 2, it would be a story very much focused on the war, the ever-ending war going between Atlantis and Wakanda, and that would lead to the first mutant Namor coming up, the Submariner basically being the first one. And the movie would basically be kind of set like your typical X versus Y superhero movie where it starts off like a battle between Wakanda and Atlantis. We kind of paint the picture of Atlantis, and then ultimately we discovered there's a greater villain that's really manipulating all of this, and they have to work together to defeat them. And the deal is brokered by Storm, who would come into Wakanda. Maybe she has already a history built in there, and they just kind of say welcome back, and then she kind of brokers the peace treaty between Namor and T'Challa, and the two of them, the battle whatever evil villain is causing all of this ruckus.
Okay, I like that. I like that one. My idea is I think the easiest way is Reed Richards. Not even saying the whole Fantastic Four, but you
Okay.
can easily have him as someone. Maybe he's researching the quantum realm. Now that that's going to be a thing, that's probably more information is going to be out there, and he's researching it. At the end of a movie, he just appears as a scientist or whatever. At the end of the movie, you see he's getting ready to go on an exploration. He thinks he's going to the quantum realm. He gets his family involved. Movie starts off, they come back, they have their powers. I
That
think
makes
that so
Yeah, especially with Janet Van Dyne having some powers coming back out of the quantum realm,
yeah.
that makes a lot of sense for how they'd set them up in particular. I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, I think at the end of it, mine's probably a little ambitious. Like we're probably going to get one of them in an end credit scene, and that'll be the first real appearance.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Reed Richards doing something like that. Deadpool, obviously, just hey there, like one of those kind of deals. That I mean, that would just be too easy almost. And then I could see Doom or Silver Surfer being like, just the movie ends and we just see the Surfer going flying off, or we see
Yeah.
Doom doing something. So there's a lot of obviously really cool possibilities. I'm just super sad that they're gonna recast everybody, like everybody.
I mean,
Damn it, I
for
want Hugh
the
Jackman, man.
fantastic, yeah, I know. that's that's been one of my dream things. Is like because Captain America and Logan Wolverine have had history. Like they met in
Yes.
World War II. I always to see Hugh Jackman and Chris Evans together was always something that I would love to see those two characters. And it seems like either way, that's not going to happen. Like for all intents and purposes, it looks like Chris Evans is going to be done as Captain
Hmm.
America. Hugh Jackman he's done. If anyone is holding on to any hopes, that man is done with Wolverine. You can tell by the way he talks about it.
Yeah, as soon as they him and Ryan Reynolds kind of patched things up, quote unquote, on social media not that long
Yeah.
ago, I was like, this is their way of telling us it's not going to happen, guys. And I was like, just so sad about it. But Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Hopefully, fits his way in there. We can make a bunch of jokes about Hugh Jackman, kind of fourth wall breaks and stuff like that. Will be the closest that we get to him being in the MCU. But my issue with X-Men and Fantastic Four might not be as big of an issue, but with the X-Men, there's so many characters and there's so few actors out there left that haven't already been in these kinds of movies. It's really going to be hard to. They're talking about setting up Avengers versus X-Men. It's kind of like the next big, multi-hero movie that they set up somewhere down the road, and I can't imagine even the best case scenario for X-Men casting them lining up and looking legit against the existing Avengers cast. So, I mean, hey, their MCU, the Marvel Studios has done a great job. I got no real reason to doubt them. They even pleasantly surprised me with Captain Marvel, but yeah, I'm nervous. I'm nervous for the MCU jumping the shark. I thought it was coming. I thought it was coming with Captain Marvel, and we might be a few movies away, but I'm still worried.
I mean, as long as Kevin Feige's involved, I'm almost not worried about them jumping the shark at all. I mean, that may come back to bite me in the ass, but I just don't have that concern. Um, but I think that with the X-Men, I really hope that they go the young route. Like, and it sucks because I know that that's what First Class and everything's been. I
Yeah.
kind of hope they go that route and find new actors that can grow that can play those characters for 3, 4, 5 movies, and they can actually we can attach ourselves to them. I mean that's not promised either, but like you said, I mean when you look at the first of the X Men, this X Men, people who've been in DC movies, Marvel movies, there's really not that much left to pick from.
No, there really isn't. And I mean, and you, like you said, basically have to sign up people that you think will be not only around but relevant for 3, 4, 5 movies, potentially. So that's a crapshoot. It's really hard to pick those people out, especially young actors out there who don't really have a ton of track record. It's going to be an interesting, move. Hopefully they can kind of dip their toe into it. And I think with the Fantastic Four, I'm kind of hoping that they go a little older. I don't know about
Oh
you.
yeah, well, Fantastic Four
I
definitely.
got my fingers crossed for John Cena as the thing.
You know what? Honestly, and people will of course hear that he's a wrestler. He would be perfect for that.
Drax, man, Drax has been killing it in the MCU for years, and it looks like he's probably done with them. He
Yeah.
might not get unsnapped. That wouldn't that be funny? They're just like, yeah, we have no idea why Drax didn't get unsnapped. It was just he's the only one.
Are they? I mean, he's under so much. What if they just recast him? I
They
mean,
they could,
yeah.
I guess so. I mean, it'll be
I don't think anyone can hit that comedic timing like he does, but they can always try to recast him.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, that sucks. You just got me sad now thinking about the fact that he's probably he seems like he's going to be done after they film Guardians 3. Like he's not renewing that contract at all. There's reports he may get cast in Suicide Squad, James Gunn's new
Yeah,
movies. Yeah.
yeah. Him and Idris Elba. Idris, you're better than this, bro. Don't do it. Don't do. Dude's gonna be Bond. He's Heimdall, and now he's gonna be whatever, Will Smith.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to watch, but we'll see. Anything left with MCU man before we say goodnight?
I mean, we can probably do this all day. But no, I could do this all day. There you go. That's a good way to end it, I guess. But no, nothing more on Marvel, at least not for the time being. Endgame's coming out. What? We got like 6 weeks. Who'd have thunk, man? A year ago, we were sitting around going, we got a year. Now we only got 6 weeks.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait. You know what? I know we're getting Shazam in a month too. I'm actually kind of looking for Aquaman pleasantly surprised me. I know this is a completely
Yeah,
different universe, but I'm looking forward to Shazam.
yeah. Shazam should be interesting. Have you been watching Doom Patrol?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Doom Patrol's pretty lit. I'm pretty into that. Titans was awesome, and this kind of picked right up where they left off there. I'm digging the new Cyborg.
Yeah, yeah, me too. So, yeah, Doom Patrol is really good, and it's better than I thought. Because when they appeared in Titans, I was like, this shit. But it's
Right?
been
That
better.
was kind of what I thought too. But the narrator's keeping me hooked. The bad guy slash narrator, I guess. So that's an interesting spin in and of itself.
Well, all right, Bello, man, tell the people where they can find you.
Well, I got more places where you could find me than usual. So you could find me for all my Marvel, pro wrestling, and generally lighthearted things at Bello Being Bello. And then, should you dare dip into the political realm, you can find me at Cancel This Pod. And then, like I mentioned before, cancelthispodcast.podbean.com and cancel this on iTunes. Just type that into your search bar, and you'll find me. And Godspeed, if you will.
Well, there it is, people. You guys already know where you can find me. We're out.
Peace.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Damn.
So much fun.
Oh man, perfect.
What do you got going on for the rest of the night? Just chilling, editing this.
Editing, yeah, editing this, chilling. Nothing important. Well, fathering